Well, hello everybody. I'm Lee Fitzgerald. I thought while you were reading your topic 2 in week 3, the role of the teacher librarian, that I'd make you a podcast containing ideas from your course readings and from elsewhere about what it is a teacher librarian does. I'm conscious of the many levels of experience and connection to teacher librarianship that you come with, that some of you are not in schools, some of you are teachers, some are TLs already, so you all have different concepts of what it is a teacher librarian does. So I thought I'd run some ideas past you in a light-hearted way. So this image is from Library Girl, Jennifer Lagarde, whose award-winning blog, The Adventures of Library Girl, proves that you don't have to be a superhero to be a teacher librarian, but having a cape certainly helps sometimes. The point that I want to get across to you in this presentation is that it is time to bring out the teacher part of the TL role, if indeed we want to stay in existence, and I think we probably do. Okay. So this slide deals with the management part of the teacher librarian role. It almost goes without saying that the management part of our role, information science, is the basic underpinning of all that the library does. And if management is not going smoothly, then it's not possible to address our teaching role at all. So library management includes all of those ideas in the slide. And we're running an information service in our libraries by which the school curriculum is resourced. And so management of that service involves all the technical librarian stuff, which teachers and students generally seem to think are esoteric things that happen all by themselves. So a teacher librarian is information service manager. She manages a team of people whose common goal is anticipating and meeting the curriculum, reading and recreational needs of staff and students. She manages her library team, and together they're responsible for the acquisition, cataloguing, circulating, stock taking and weeding of the library's collection of print and electronic resources. She manages the library management system, which might be AIMS or AMLib or Oliver, and ideally she will delegate its functions to her staff for the various technical operations, while keeping an overview on what's being done. She might manage online databases and other subscriptions, and she might manage an intranet where library programs and resources are kept up to date for staff and students. So basically, if the management of the technical operations of the library is not excellent and isn't moving to almost an automatic mode, then this is really the area where a new teacher librarian will start. Get into the management and the systems first, and then move on to the rest of the role. So this slide looks at Mia McMeeton's 27 things that a teacher librarian does. So if you're thinking that 27 things is quite a lot, just look at them, and some of them seem to be fairly straightforward. We do all of this, all of these things. Interesting to see that curates is one of the roles there, which is very much part of, an up-to-date perception of what the teacher librarian does. But what out of these 27 things is the role that will keep us in existence? I believe it's the teaching role that will keep us afloat. More 27 things, all nice active verbs that, we do on a daily basis. Honestly, the role of the teacher librarian must be one of the most debated in the world. So if I tell you my own story as a TL, this might help you sort out some of the things that facilitate, some of the things that inhibit the role of the teacher librarian. So my story as a TL includes 4 primary schools where I learnt at first hand the demanding trial of RFF, or release from face-to-face teaching, where streams of classes came in and they would do a quick borrowing, a quick story and some kind of activity not related to the curriculum usually. My tale also includes 4 high schools. My first appointment was where I taught English and history, and though it was difficult as a new teacher, it was crystal clear what I was there for, to teach English and history. I had 2 more high schools in Sydney as a TL, one of which was all about the literature role of the TL, and I was the literature circles person, which was a great deal of fun. The second one where I learnt about what the influence of an empowering principal can have on your role, as she facilitated me to begin inquiry at the school. And now I've just left Loreto Kirribilli in Sydney after 11 years. There's a beautiful new library designed around two purposes: fostering a love of reading and carrying out inquiry learning. Guided inquiry has arrived, and I've been inspired by Ross Todd and his focus on inquiry for more years than I care to mention. And yet, at Loreto, there were whole departments who never came through the doors. And amongst my closest collaborators, there was still the tendency to forget what we've forged together and to revert to using me as a resource person, not a teacher. So why is there this collective amnesia and lack of certainty about what a teacher librarian does? Well, it's quite a long story. In your readings this week, you went to look at standards and statements regarding the teacher librarian role and its component parts. So in this slide, you can see ASLA's point of view on what a teacher librarian will do, and this seems a comprehensive approach, although I can't see literature promotion there, which is definitely one of the arms of our role. Slazar, down the bottom left here, had a nice straightforward approach to our role in the clip that you see here. These are the things we do. And you went to look at IFLA and IASL as well. So you've had, a good look at the standards relating to our role. Okay, and so this one, you are also directed this week to the ASLA Standards of Professional Excellence for Teacher Librarians, which show what a teacher librarian performing at the level of excellence is able to do. So they describe her professional knowledge, practice and commitment in a set of 12 standards. And so you can see the principles in this wordle, the concepts: lifelong learning, information literacy, ICTs, pedagogy, reading, assessment, management, the learning environment, learning and teaching, programs. These are all the meat of the teacher librarian role. They are really not what a new teacher librarian could expect to be able to do at once, that is, the standards, but they're aspirational. They're what a new teacher librarian would aspire to be doing by the time she's been a teacher librarian for quite a long time. These standards were published in 2004, so that's quite a long time ago now. In some ways, our teacher librarian standards anticipated the national professional standards for teachers now being implemented across Australia. We will expect it to be evaluated like any teacher under these national standards, which are those that you see above, the 7 of them there. Note that the standards are different for the stage of career that a teacher is at, moving from graduate teachers to proficient to highly accomplished to lead teachers. So, the National Professional Standards for Teachers are really a practical reason why our teaching role needs to be brought to the fore, because we've got to be accredited like everybody else. This clip shows you a breakdown of one of the standards, which is know the content and how to teach it. And you can see it at the various levels: graduate, proficient, highly accomplished, and lead teacher. So, how do we fit into the national teaching standards? I wanted to tell you some exciting news, and that is that ASLA is in the process of releasing the evidence guides for teacher librarians in the highly accomplished career stage, which you see a clip of there, which uses the national teaching standards to describe how a TL can meet them and what evidence needs to be gathered. This is a very groundbreaking document that allows us to firmly place ourselves in the teaching sector, which is good for our longevity. And I dare say that there will be other evidence guides published for the various stages, career stages for a teacher librarian, which is really something that we need quite a lot. You'll hear more about this document as it is officially released, but it's good stuff. Okay, so this is from the Very Proactive School Library Association of Victoria, a statement on what a teacher librarian can do for you. This is addressed to teachers, telling them what we can do. And the tone of it is what we can do to help you in your teaching, rather than making it more, adding something extra to your teaching. So these are all the things that we might do. And they're all very active, proactive things that don't frighten teachers into thinking that we're going to be asking them to do more than they're already doing. Why teachers don't already know that these are the things we do is another matter. So why isn't our role clear like other teachers? I wanted to give you some advice from the very recent chalk face about our role and to tell you that there are some challenges ahead for you, but that everything will be fine. Okay, some of the reasons for teachers and principals not knowing what we're for, past being the person who fills the library with books, maybe does some digital stuff and loans out resources, may be that we don't really have a subject with content and exams and learning outcomes and assessment like all the other teachers. Our content is information literacy and inquiry, and these are skills rather than content. I did want to tell you, though, that there is a huge opportunity ahead for us with the Australian curriculum, which really acknowledges the place of inquiry in learning, but does not really suggest how these skills may be taught. So I think we have a huge opportunity there because it is our bread and butter and we do know how these skills can be taught. So watch this space. There'll be more about this later. I really like this poster from Joyce Valenza in America. What do teacher librarians teach? So that it breaks it down for us what we teach in the four main areas: inquiry and research, evaluating resources, digital citizenship, creating and sharing, going through a whole inquiry process, teaching students how to get through the inquiry process. You'll note down the bottom transliteracy as a term that's really very relevant to our role. So I think obviously that all the other roles in the teacher librarian set of expertises, they're vital, but this one is the most important, the teaching role, and it has always been. But right now we have two major incentives for our teaching role. One is that guided inquiry is evolving and developing every day. And the other one is that inquiry is up front in the Australian curriculum, especially in the critical and creative thinking general capability. Again, watch this space and there'll be more about that later. So other reasons for the lack of clarity about our role might include those that are listed there. So you might ask yourself, what can I do about this? I'm going to be a teacher librarian really soon. So these are some of the things that you might do. So I'll get you to just read through those yourself. And maybe to show you the vision of one principle and how that might impact on your role, and how that this second recommendation here, getting the ear of the principal or the head teacher teaching and learning to develop a joint vision, how that might impact on your role. I have the words of Anna Dickinson, who's the new principal at Loreto Kirribilli, on what she thinks a teacher librarian can bring to the school and to the implementation of the Australian curriculum. These were her words. I see the teacher librarian as a leader of learning, both for teachers and students. The space in which this is done is critical, so that teams of teachers can work with multiple classes under the supervision of the TL. I see the teacher librarian as someone who can unpack the Australian curriculum for our teachers. I can see that the inquiry skills so liberally scattered throughout the Australian curriculum do not have a process whereby it can be taught, and I'm most interested in an analysis of this and a solution that a teacher librarian might be able to bring me. So, what does the teacher librarian do? A great deal. But first and foremost, we must get into the management of our information systems, first and foremost. And then we need to get into the inquiry, teaching and learning of the school. So these are a few things not to do when you get into a school. You can read those. The one that takes my eye there is not presenting yourself as a person with a bird's eye view of the curriculum, because I really believe, especially in high schools, that getting that overview of the curriculum and learning what happens when and how it is done in your school actually takes years, so that when you first go into a school, it would be very unlikely that you would have this bird's eye view. And I guess the warning down the bottom there, don't try to do it all. Go with what is your strength. We're very lucky. We're not like other teachers who have to do, what they're given to do. We can actually choose and run with our strengths, which is great. So this engaging graphic is also from Library Girl, Jennifer Lagarde, describing some of the zany terms for the teacher librarian role. I love infomaniac. I think that's really good. And I really like resourceress. I don't like the super shusher up here, which calls up old stereotypes, but I'm sure Library Girl meant that in a tongue-in-cheek way. So I hope that this podcast has helped you to deal with what many Charles Sturt students call the plethora of roles that a teacher librarian has, and the multifaceted nature of the teacher librarian role. Plethora and multifaceted we certainly are. Best of luck to you with all your studies.